Rent in the U.S. has hit $2,300 a month, dining out costs nearly $80, and retirement savings are disappearing faster than inflation. Hundreds of thousands of Americans are leaving major cities, not for adventure, but for survival. And here's the good news. There are still 5 states where $600 a month isn't just enough to live. It's enough to live like a millionaire. No big investments, no massive income, no need to leave the country. Just change your area code, and you can change your life. But this opportunity is disappearing fast. Home prices are rising every quarter, and only those who act quickly will seize it in time. So in this video, I'll show you where $600 can still buy you a home, a garden, and real freedom before it's too late. Dream it. Pack it. Go. 5. Arkansas, where $600 buys freedom that even Hollywood can't afford. One June morning, the Wall Street Journal released its 2024 housing report. While the rest of America gasped at the median price climbing to around $420,000, a tiny dot on the map remained almost invisible: Arkansas, where a red brick 4-bedroom home with a backyard and garage still costs around $190,000 to $200,000, according to Zillow data. With an average mortgage rate of 6.7%, that home equals a monthly payment of about $600, a number that makes Los Angeles residents laugh, then go silent. Because in their city, $600 barely covers dinner with wine and parking. Arkansas is the last paradox of the so-called American dream. While on the country's glamorous coasts, $600 means survival, here it means financial sovereignty. You don't need to win the lottery or have $1 million retirement plan. You just need the courage to head south, to where money still holds real weight. In counties like White, Lanoke, and Faulkner, spacious 2,000 FT2 homes with long porches and wide lawns still list for under $200,000. People here mow their grass with tractors, not with bank debt. In Arkansas, you don't just own a house. You own space to breathe, something modern America is selling off, square foot by square foot. The cost of living across the state is nearly 14% below the national average. Utilities, electricity, water, and internet average around $180 per month, and fresh local produce is both cheap and abundant. With a monthly budget of $1,500, you can live comfortably, pay for housing, food, transportation, and still have something left for a weekend joy. In California, $1,500 barely covers gas and electricity. In Arkansas, it buys you an entire, peaceful life. The state's tax system seems designed for those who want to live honestly, not to be charged for breathing. Property tax sits at just 57%, so low you might check your paperwork twice, thinking it's a typo. On a $200,000 home, that's under $1,150 a year, less than car insurance in California. As for groceries, the state sales tax has been slashed to 0.125%, and by 2026 it'll be zero. That means for the first time in your life, you can push a grocery cart through checkout without the government taking a few extra cents for eating. It may sound small, but for retirees, that's a gift of respect. The right to live on your own terms, with your own money. Electricity in Arkansas averages only 13 cents per kWh, far lower than in coastal states. Even in the heat of summer, utility bills rarely exceed $140. Everything here feels lighter. From pork and gasoline to haircuts, all about 14% cheaper than the national average. In Arkansas, $1 is still a real dollar, not just an empty figure on an inflation spreadsheet. Many people ask, if living costs are that low, the health care must be terrible, right? Not really. Arkansas doesn't have the luxury hospitals of Beverly Hills, but it does have the UAMS Medical Center in Little Rock, one of the largest medical hubs in the South, and a network of clinics that cover nearly every small town. A basic doctor visit costs $40, $60, and 90% of residents have health insurance. Here, doctors remember your name, and nurses call you darlin' instead of a number. They may not have the most expensive machines, but they have something far rarer: the heart of a community, something big cities lost long ago. Of course, Arkansas isn't flawless. Some larger cities like Little Rock have crime rates above the national average. But drive just 20 minutes out of downtown, and the world changes completely. Red dirt roads, wooden fences, tiny churches, and neighbors who actually know each other's names. Bentonville, Fayetteville, Conway. These towns are safe, clean, and so friendly you might forget you're still in America. Places where you leave your keys on the table, your door unlocked when you step into the garden, and everyone still has time to ask, "Y'all doing okay?" If you love nature, Arkansas will make it hard for you to ever leave. They call it the natural state not as a slogan, but because here, nature is simply a way of life. Morning mist over Lake Hamilton, afternoon BBQs by the Ozark streams, crickets singing with the scent of wood smoke. There's no sound more valuable than that. Picture this. In Malibu, an A-list actor pays $25,000 a month just to see the ocean through a glass window. In Arkansas, you pay $600, and you can step out onto your porch to watch the sun set over real meadows. They hire people to mow their lawns. You mow your own. They live to keep up appearances. You live to keep your peace. That's not cheap living. That's living at true value. When retirement comes, what you need isn't more money, but more time and space to enjoy it. Arkansas gives you both: a home, a community, and a feeling that you're still living in the America you once dreamed of, peaceful, kind, and untouched by the greed of the dollar. If $600 a month could buy you an entirely new chapter, no debt, no stress, just wind and freedom, then the only question left is, will you keep paying for someone else's dream or start writing your own? Comment below. If $600 could buy you freedom, would you leave Hollywood for Arkansas? Type, "I choose Arkansas." If you believe true peace isn't about how much money you have, but where your money still has meaning. 4. Iowa, where $600 a month buys you a home and your freedom. In July 2025, Iowa suddenly became a headline across national news. A new law sparked fierce debate about personal rights, and reporters from every major network rushed in to cover the story. But amid the noise of politics, few noticed something quieter. This is also one of the last states where life still moves at an old rhythm. Simple, slow, and unbelievably affordable. While most of America is struggling with housing costs, taxes, and soaring expenses, Iowa quietly whispers a very American truth. If you're willing to change your area code, $600 a month can still buy you a roof, a backyard, and peace of mind. The story of Paul Anderson, a retired bridge engineer from Boston, proves it best. After 40 years of work, he realized his pension wasn't enough to live in the city where he once built its bridges. So, he packed up his old pickup truck, drove across the country, and stopped in Cedar Rapids, where he found a 3-bedroom wooden house, a big yard, and neighbors who still know each other's names. The house cost less than $200,000. He put down a small deposit, financed the rest, and now pays about $590 a month, less than the cost of one dinner out in Boston. He says, "I didn't buy a mansion, I bought my peace of mind." According to Zillow, The median home price in Iowa in 2024 was around $230,000, nearly 45% lower than the national average. That means in towns like Sioux City or Davenport, you can easily own a 2,000 square foot home with a porch and a yard for a monthly payment of about $600. If you prefer renting, a one-bedroom apartment averages just $760, less than half of what you'd pay in Seattle or Miami. In Iowa, your dollar is still a real dollar, not one eaten away by inflated housing, service fees, or pointless showmanship. The cost of living here is so comfortable that many people don't believe it until they see it. A retired couple can live well on $1,500 a month, including housing, groceries, utilities, internet, health insurance, and gas. Electricity averages 14 cents per kilowatt, internet costs about $60, and healthcare, with Medicare, is typically $250 per month. In Iowa, you don't have to count every penny to survive. You live first, and the money somehow keeps up. The state's healthcare system isn't flashy like California's, but it's solid and reliable. The University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics consistently ranks among the top hospitals in the Midwest. A general checkup costs about $60, a specialist visit about $100, and perhaps most importantly, doctors here still remember your name, not just your patient ID. In retirement, you don't need luxury technology. You need kindness. And Iowa still has plenty of that left. What makes Iowa special isn't just how cheap it is. It's the rhythm of life. Everything here moves a little slower, and people live a little more genuinely. In the morning, you brew your coffee and watch the mist fade over the cornfields. At noon, you walk to the farmer's market, buy fresh eggs, local honey, and an apple pie baked by your neighbor. In the afternoon, you stroll through your backyard garden or just sit on the porch, listening to crickets. In Boston, Paul used to work 60 hours a week just to pay rent. In Iowa, he spends $600 a month to live in a house that's his own. He laughs, "If this isn't the American dream, then I don't know what is." Safety is another reason many retirees choose Iowa. The state's violent crime rate is just 280 incidents per 100,000 residents, far lower than the national average. Small towns like Waukee or Decorah still keep that old-fashioned trust. You still see kids riding bikes on the streets, front doors left open in the afternoon, and someone asking, "How are you holding up?" Like it's second nature. Of course, Iowa isn't for those who crave bright lights. There's no ocean, no casinos, no overpriced streets to show off on. But in exchange, you get space, time, and the quiet certainty that you're still in control of your own life. For Americans tired of bills, traffic, and sky-high rent, Iowa isn't just a cheap place to live. It's a place to begin again. In Los Angeles, $600 a month barely covers your electric bill and a few meals out. But in Iowa, the same amount pays your mortgage, gives you peace, and still leaves room for quiet evenings on your wooden porch. That's not a dream. That's math. And sometimes, numbers speak louder than promises. 3. Oklahoma, where $600 a month lets you live like a millionaire under a sun that never hurries to set. In March 2025, Forbes released a shocking map. Oklahoma ranked among the top 3 cheapest states in America to buy a home and retire. While people in Los Angeles spend over $2,000 a month just to rent a small apartment, in Oklahoma, $600 is enough to own a real house. Spacious, bright, and so peaceful you have to pinch yourself to believe it's real. Meet James Carter, a 67-year-old former engineer from San Diego. He spent his whole life in the roar of traffic, in a city where even smiles seem taxed. When he retired, he sold his small California condo, drove across the country, and stopped in Enid, a quiet town 2 hours from Oklahoma City. There he bought a 4-bedroom red brick house with a double garage and a backyard big enough for a vegetable garden and a rocking chair for morning reading. The price? $185,000. His monthly mortgage payment? $597. He says, "In California, I had a house but not a life. In Oklahoma, I have both." According to Zillow 2024, the median home price in Oklahoma is about $183,000, roughly 56% lower than the national average. In areas like Lawton, Enid, or Stillwater, there are still plenty of homes under $180,000, meaning $600 a month is enough to own the kind of home that would cost thousands to rent in other states. Oklahoma isn't just cheap. It's clear, breathable, and fair to retirees. Property tax averages only 0.9%, lower than in most U.S. states. And the best part? Since 2024, the state has officially eliminated sales tax on groceries. When you buy milk, bread, or beef, the price on the shelf is exactly what you pay. No hidden fees, no surprise add-ons. At retirement age, that's more than savings. It's respect. The cost of living across the state is about 25% lower than the U.S. average. Electricity costs $12.09 per kWh, internet around $60, and gas prices are 15% cheaper than in Florida. A modest retiree can live comfortably on $400–$700 per month, covering housing, food, utilities, insurance, gas, and even a few nights of craft beer with neighbors. In California, that amount barely covers rent. In Oklahoma, it covers an entire life. Many people ask, if it's that cheap, is healthcare any good? And the answer is yes. Two major systems, OU Health in Oklahoma City and St. Francis in Tulsa, rank among the top in the south-central U.S., with general checkups costing around $50–$70. Smaller private hospitals are common across towns, and most doctors accept Medicare. Locals don't brag about being healthy. They simply are, thanks to a slower pace, no stress, and no rat race. Of course, Oklahoma isn't perfect. Spring brings tornadoes, summers can feel like living in an oven, and sometimes you'll find yourself alone on those endless country roads. But in return, you get land, you get sky, and you get a sense of freedom no expensive place can buy. When the dry wind sweeps across the tall grass, you'll understand why they call this the land of the red earth. Wide, wild, and free enough for time itself to slow down. In Oklahoma, people don't ask, "What do you do?" They ask, "How do you live?" Neighbors know each other's names, kids still play in the yard, and every evening you can sit on your porch and watch the fiery sunset fall over the fields. It's a kind of luxury Hollywood could never direct. If you're living in a city where $600 barely covers parking, remember, that same $600 in Oklahoma can buy you a home, land, and peace of mind. In California, you live to pay off debt. In Oklahoma, you live to enjoy life. $600 isn't just a number. It's a symbol of financial freedom. It's your way of saying, "I'm not running anymore." Oklahoma gives you that chance, a chance that's not far, not expensive, and only requires the courage to take a different road. Comment below, if $600 a month could buy a new life, would you keep paying to survive, or choose Oklahoma to truly live? Right, I choose Oklahoma. And don't forget to subscribe, because in the next video, we'll head to a state where $600 not only buys a house, but also the sky, the smiles, and the feeling that you finally found yourself again. 2. Missouri, where $600 a month lets you live like a millionaire in the heart of America. In April 2025, Missouri made national headlines after a tornado destroyed dozens of homes. But just 2 weeks later, life had almost returned to normal. People fixed their own roofs, rebuilt fences, and cooked for their neighbors. An NBC reporter wrote, "Missouri doesn't wait for the government to save them. They save each other." That spirit, strong, genuine, and resilient, is what makes this state one of the best places for Americans to retire. And the best part? Here, with only $600 a month, you can live like a wealthy person. According to Zillow 2024, the median home price in Missouri is about $229,000, nearly $200,000 less than in California. If you avoid the big cities and head toward Springfield or the Ozarks, $600 a month is enough for a 3-bedroom home with wooden floors, a wide porch, and a grassy front yard. In a country where the average rent has reached $1,800, Missouri stands as a reminder that the American dream of homeownership still exists. You just have to look in the right place. The overall cost of living in Missouri is about 15% lower than the national average. Utilities, electricity, water, and internet rarely exceed $200. Each grocery trip feels lighter because the sales tax on food is only 1.225%, the lowest in the country. In fact, starting in 2026, renters will even receive a $155 annual tax refund. Everything here, from housing to groceries, costs less. Yet the quality of life feels richer than in many of the glamorous coastal states. For retirees, Missouri is a rare bargain. Quality healthcare, low costs, and no taxes on most retirement income. Springfield is home to Cox Health, and Kansas City has St. Luke's Hospital, both ranked among the top medical centers in the Midwest. A regular doctor's visit costs around $60, while a specialist consultation is about $100. Locals are kind, open-hearted, and what stands out most is that everyone here still knows how to care for one another. Of course, St. Louis still has some rough areas, but just a 40-minute drive from downtown, the world changes completely. In the small towns surrounding Lake of the Ozarks, the violent crime rate is only about 300 incidents per 100,000 residents, far lower than in neighboring states. In the afternoons, neighbors invite each other over for BBQs, turn on the radio to listen to the Cardinals game. The smell of grilled meat drifts through the air. Laughter echoes across the lawns. It's a kind of luxury money can't buy. A retired couple can live comfortably in Missouri on about $1,600 per month, covering housing, food, healthcare, utilities, and even a bit of leisure. In California, $1,600 is an electric bill and gas money. Here, it's an entire life. A porch, a vegetable garden, and days of genuine peace. Imagine this. While an actor in Hollywood pays $60,000 a month for a Beverly Hills mansion, you're paying only $600 for a lakeside home, with a grill, good neighbors, and nothing missing. In California, they live to maintain an image. In Missouri, you live to enjoy life. That's not living cheap. That's living right. Here, you're not buying luxury. You're buying back your freedom. Every morning, sunlight filters through wooden windows, birds sing from the backyard, and you realize happiness isn't expensive. It just needs the right place to grow. If $600 could buy you a whole new life, would you leave Hollywood behind and move to Missouri? Right. I choose Missouri. And don't forget to subscribe, because in the next video, we'll take you to a place where $600 not only buys a house, but also the peace and the freedom that even the rich can only dream of. 1. West Virginia, where $600 a month buys a home and peace in the mountains. In an America that's becoming more expensive by the day, West Virginia feels like a secret no one talks about. According to the Bureau of Economic Analysis 2024, What costs $100 elsewhere can be bought for just $90 here. That means you're living in a state with a permanent discount on life. And with $600 a month, you don't just survive, you live well. Three-bedroom homes in Mercer or Raleigh County cost only around $130,000, $150,000, which means monthly payments are under $600. You get a big backyard, a double garage, a wooden porch, and the sound of a nearby creek. No smog, no traffic, just the smell of freshly cut grass and quiet mornings. In Los Angeles, $600 barely covers parking. Here, it pays for a home. West Virginia has almost no tax on groceries, cheap electricity, and one of the lowest costs of living in America. A typical retiree can live comfortably on about $1,400 a month, covering housing, food, medication, and a little joy. Hospitals like the Charleston Area Medical Center offer quality care, accept Medicare, and charge around $60 per visit. This is where the Appalachian Mountains wrap around you with peace. Winding roads through pine forests, moonlight spilling onto porches, and neighbors who still knock on your door just to bring a warm apple pie. In West Virginia, time moves slower, and everything, from the wind to a smile, feels more real. $600 a month won't buy much in the city, but here, it buys a new life, a home, fresh air, and the kind of safety that money can't buy anywhere else. If $600 could buy true peace, would you dare to leave the city and move to West Virginia? Right. I choose West Virginia. $600 might not buy you much in New York, but in the right place, it buys an entire, fulfilling life. The American dream isn't dead. It's just moved to quieter places where you can live slowly, breathe deeply, and smile for real. Don't let retirement be about waiting. Let it be about beginning again, from a small town, a wooden porch, and one brave decision to change. Comment: I choose freedom. And don't forget to subscribe, because the journey to find a life that's real, not just a life of survival, is far from over.